workstation installations, you name it. We're there to help our small business clients with their IT needs. We want to partner in our clients, not that we don't want you guys to think of us as vendors. We want to be a part of your success. We are all 100% employee owners here at Tab, and understanding that this is a partnership between us and your business to help you succeed is really where we're focused as a company. And then Joe Kemper, if you want to bring up a little bit about InfoSec and how long the InfoSec's been around and what it's been doing in the security space, that'd be great.
Yeah, so InfoSec's been around for about 18 years at this point. So just in kind of the whole experience of it, providing different cybersecurity solutions, again through security awareness training, simulated phishing platforms, and things like that. So our whole goal is to help educate end users in order to prevent ransomware, or help prevent ransomware attacks, malware infections, and things like that.
Sounds good. Thanks for that. So what is SAT? Security Awareness Training. It's a formal process for educating employees on protecting an organization's data, people, and the assets from internet-based threats or criminals. There's so many vectors of attack on your business, and your people are a big chunk of that. They're the last line of defense, really, with all the layers companies like us will put in to help protect you. Your people are really the last line of defense. And the problem is you guys are unfortunately not aware of what's going on out there as far as all the types of vectors that are out there to try to get into your system. And the bad guys are using all sorts of methods that you have not thought of. Trust me, you haven't. As far as how they're going to get into your system, what email they're going to send you, to try to get you to click or give up your credentials. And security awareness training is going to try to help you become more aware, not only to protect your company, but to protect yourselves in your day-to-day lives, because you can apply everything we're talking about in security awareness training to your day-to-day life. So why you need it? I mean, you have to really not be reading the news to understand why you might need it these days, but you're looking at 95% of the data breaches are caused by human error. All the technologies we put in place to protect you, there's still you guys out there, us included. We're humans too. We make mistakes as well. We are the ones that allow the bad guys into the system. I have a radio program on Saturday mornings, and I joke about asking the callers their passwords. Literally, that's all the bad guys are doing half the time, is tricking you into giving your credentials to them. So we want to boost awareness so that you understand that the attacks that are coming through, or majority of them are coming through email. We want to reduce that risk so you're not spending the millions of dollars the Board of Education in New Haven spent. We can get to that a little later because they got impacted. And we want to fight cybercrime using phishing as a method to do it. And so it's a simple way to get you guys up to speed. So ransomware is expected to attack a business and consumer or a device every 2 seconds by the year 2031. And that's up from 11 seconds in 2021. They are sending out constant emails and phishing emails. Our email defense technology will try to stop them, but they're coming out so fast that even the email defense technologies that are out there from our PatrolDOG email defense can't see them all. So you need to be on your toes and pretty much expect that whatever email you're getting from whatever friend you think you have is probably an attack. You need to be utterly cynical about your email as far as I'm concerned. Don't trust any of it. Always think it's coming after you for some reason. Always remember too that companies are rarely going to come and reach out to you and say, hey, I've noticed you had a problem. I'm from QuickBooks support, or I'm from Microsoft. They don't care at all about us. So don't ever look at those emails coming in at you as if they actually care about you. Those are phishing attacks by the bad guys acting as if they're from these manufacturers. So be very cynical about your email. That'll help you be more safe. But it's a big problem. As you can see, we're going to be inundated by the year 2031 with email attacks. Average cost of a data breach by industry. And you can see right there, straightforward. We saw the ECHN attack as well, with that cloud still being down from what I understand. $7.5 million. You're looking at finance, technology, energy, consumer, retail, all across the board. Everyone's getting hit because it's all ransom through Bitcoin, and they can get you ransomed. They're going to try to figure out a way to have you pay them in Bitcoin. Security awareness training is something that many of the insurance companies and compliance folks are asking for. So if you're not training your people, you may not be PCI compliant. You may not be compliant with Sarbanes-Oxley. You're not going to be compliant with SOC 2. You're not going to be compliant with HIPAA. You're not going to be compliant with NIST, CMMC as well. Those are all aspects of being compliant as a organization. The reason you want to become compliant is there actually are safe harbors, including in Connecticut, where our legislature has actually carved out a safe harbor for you that says, hey, if you were at least trying to be compliant in any of these areas and you were impacted, the penalties against your company may be reduced because you were trying at least. Security awareness training is an aspect of trying. And it's a simple thing to implement and get in place, and it will help you check some boxes on being compliant. And that's what I mentioned earlier, cyber insurance companies, along with two-factor authentication, which is, if you don't have that running now, you need to have it running. Security awareness training is something that they're going to be asking for, and many of them do, to make sure your people are at least being kept up to date on what they could be doing to protect your company from these phishing attacks that are happening constantly. And that'll lower your premium. Yeah, so in the news, I bring up the Board of Education of New Haven because the COO of that organization's email was compromised. And the bad guys were reading his or her email. I don't even know who they are. And the bad guys were reading their email. And then when invoices came through, the bad guys simply said, they took the invoice that was coming from a vendor, let's say a bus company or what have you, and changed the ACH information. And then the Board of Education sends the payment to the bad guys. This is something that could have been prevented in many different ways. Two-factor authentication on his email. Security awareness training would have told him he should have had 2FA on his email. He also would have done better to have better passwords, not use the same passwords in the dark web. I'm sorry, on other services that could end up on the dark web. Security awareness training helps you understand or reminds you about those things on a regular basis so that you're on your toes and always looking out so you don't become a guy in the news where you sent $6 million to the wrong people. 36% of breaches involved a phishing attack. Numerous reports of this type of stuff. 25% increase over 2020. This is a big problem. Don't think this because you're some small company. Nobody's coming after you. It's just an email. They're just sending it out, blasting it to everybody, and they're using companies like they're acting like they're from Microsoft or QuickBooks or some company you might use, Amazon, UPS, to trick you into clicking on that message to get a foothold on your system. So don't think because you're not the UC San Diego health system that you're not a target. You are a target. Here's your Colonial Pipeline. 61% of breaches involve compromised credentials. It's because people use the same passwords over and over and over again. And the bad guys simply say, oh, I see this guy was in the LinkedIn breach. He used a password of ice cream. I wonder if his password for his Microsoft 365 is ice cream. Oh, it is. Oh, and he happens to be the COO of New Haven Board of Education, and I'm reading his emails now. That's great. You can't use the same compromised credentials on the services that you use, and security awareness training will help remind you of this in a funny way. InfoSec has pretty funny trainings that you might enjoy. And yes, of course, the cloud is the next big target. It's a report saying security are now, the cloud is security breaches in the cloud surpass on-prem for the first time. Well, it's because somebody at a cocktail party told you to go to the cloud and you'd be more secure. That's not the case. It's just your servers are somewhere else and they're going to go after your servers in the cloud. Microsoft 365 is one of the biggest targeted mail systems on the planet. We just had a thing across our Slack here at Tab where one of our techs is seeing 3 or 4 different attempts on different clients for, I forget what was it, had to do with some sort of authorization. Yeah, two-factor authentication. So the bad guys were impersonating Microsoft, having you scan a QR code, which of course then would get you over to the bad guys, and the bad guys would be into your 365 before you knew it. So security awareness training is going to help you look at that email and say, I'm not going to do anything with that. Microsoft doesn't care about me. They're not going to reach out to me and tell me I need help because they don't care about you. Keep that in mind. It's the bad guys that care about you. Microsoft doesn't care about you. They won't ever send an email like that. 10% of breaches involve ransomware, 100% increase over 2020. That seems low to me. But you know, the people are going after your data to do damage. They're doing it for the money. They're doing it for the fame. So again, don't think you're not a target. You are a target, even if you're a small company. $26,000, the median cost of a data breach. I had a caller call in who wanted to be a client, who talked to me about him being tricked out of $100,000, where he sent a $100,000 payment to a non-vendor. Same thing that the New Haven Board of Education did. That money he's not getting back. It's gone. I'm not sure how insurance covers that, but he sent the money the wrong place because of a simple email compromise, because he was tricked with a phishing scheme. So 26 grand out of your pocket on average, median. So our goals and objectives. I guess we could have Joe bring this, talk about this, Joe Costa, as far as what our goals and objectives are for our security awareness training program.
Do you want to talk about the program as a whole, or?
Well, in general here on this slide, you know, that's it to empower the workforce, you know, make sure you guys are up to speed.
Yeah, it's just keeping your employees up to date with all the scams that are out there, and just pretty much, you know, prepping them for like real world attacks that can happen, looking out for those phishing emails and those attacks that can happen, just being prepared so when they come around, they know what to do, you know, especially with that fish button. Phishing is the most common way that, you know, people are getting attacked and hacked in their companies. So just to reinforce the security awareness training through the content and the simulated phishing emails that are coming out, you know, every once a month for the content, and then bi-weekly with the phishing emails.
Right.
Okay, so if you enroll in our program, all your users are going to get bi-weekly simulated phishing emails, which they will have the Outlook button, fish button installed, where they can use it. They can use it to report the simulated phishing emails, and if it is a simulated email that they are reporting, they're going to get a congratulation message. You know, you're doing great for your company. You know, keep it up. And it's also going to affect the reporting, which we'll get to afterwards. And they can also use that fish button to report any type of emails that they think are malicious as well. And it will send them a notification saying, you know, we'll look into this. And then it'll send it to the actual portal and evaluate the email to see if it's an actual threat. And it should send a response back saying, hey, this is a safe email, which it's pretty much evaluating the header, seeing for any typos. It's looking at the domain name to see if it's legit. And it should give back a user response, letting you know if it's legitimate or not. So
But
that's going to happen.
Joe,
Yep.
On that comment that he meant there, if you think an email is not legitimate and you click that red fish button, don't even worry. Just assume it's not legitimate, and move on. Because if somebody really wants you and that email was so squirrely or fishy to you that you marked it, just assume it's bad and move on. Rarely are you going to see a false positive from a mark that you put in, and even if it is, it's probably not worth getting anyways. So go ahead, Joe. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and if you do use an email for that fish button, it's going to temporarily move it to your deleted folder, so it'll be out of sight. So you can always recover the email if you think it's legit, or if it comes back that is legit. So the way the simulated phishing email is going to work, it's going to happen bi-weekly. It's going to be sent to all your users periodically throughout a 2-week period. So 3 users will get it one day, 3 users another day, and it's completely randomized. So no user is going to get the same email, so they can't tell their coworkers to look out for this email. So it's completely randomized.
Very tricky.
Yeah, and they're pretty good. So a lot of them are, you know, we try to pick ones that are related, like Zoom, 2FAs, cloud sharing, stuff that's related to the office that you're actually going to see. Sometimes you'll see some invoice ones, but they're really good. I've picked them all out. There's like 148 templates overall but it's completely randomized and they're always coming out with new ones.
Mhm.
In addition to that, you are going to be enrolled in content that we release once a month. It's going to be the first day of the month to the last day of the month. But don't worry, if you don't complete that training for that month, you can always go back to your previous courses and complete them all. If you have some downtime, we try to keep the content under 5 minutes so it doesn't take a lot of your time. And you know, each month the content's going to be different, but it's all related to security awareness. So for example, like one will be like malware, one will be about social engineering, one could be about CEO fraud, could be about password security, all relevant topics that are going on in the real world. And the way we have it set up too, so anytime we have active sync running with all your users, so if a new user was to come on, they're automatically going to be enrolled in the program and would receive training the next day.
Right, and that's
So
whether it's 365 or Exchange.
Yeah, correct. In addition to that, you are going to get monthly reporting. It's usually the first week of the month, we're going to send it out, and we have a slide that's going to show you the reporting. It's a nice feature. It shows all the details in there, and I'll get to that when we go to the next slide. And you're also going to receive monthly news content. So you're going to get one newsletter and one poster reinforcing that. We also have a slide showing you what it's going to look like. Just pretty much, you know, what's going on in the real world, the real attacks that are happening. And it's just something nice that you can, you know, hang in the break room to reinforce security, you know, awareness training further. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then when you get to the next slides, we can actually show you more detailed how the reports are going to look. So these are actually monthly treats that are going to be sent out once a month. This is the one that we actually sent out this month. So as you can see, it's about safeguarding your secret data, you know, and I try to give out a poster as well with it to reinforce it, that will be sent to the main contact, and you guys can disperse this to your personnel or, you know, hanging around the break room. I usually hang it around the office, but I think it's great, you know, informative. And this will be going out once a month. So these are the monthly reports that you will be receiving once a month. So I created this from scratch. I tried to customize as much as possible, the most relevant information into one. So it's gonna have your 30-day fish rate. It's gonna have your fish rate over time, and it compares it, you know, to an industry average, and depending on your organization. The email report rate over time. So like how many of your users are actually using the fish button to report, which that's the whole point of the program. You want them to use it all the time. Like I use it all the time for everything. It's just a habit. So the whole point of that fish button is you want to create that habit that they're always using it. Yeah, on the bottom here, it also has, this is the full report. We'll show you the full issue, full part of it. But you can see like the fish rate email by template and then the results for your simulated phishing emails. So these to the left are phishing emails that people actually fell for, and it tells you the template.
Right.
of
The
what
funny
it
thing is, I love the iCloud one there. It looks like those Apple users are easy pickings.
Yeah, that's common. Like everything's in the cloud nowadays. That and
Yep.
like two-factor authentications are like the most common that people fall for, or like Zoom meetings, you know, HR meetings, stuff like that. Problem is they're going through their emails so quick, they're not really like stopping to like analyze it, and it's just easy for them to fall for.
Right.
And if you can go to the next slide. So this is the part about the report that I like the most. This is the full report. We just couldn't have it on that same screen, but you will get the entire report. And this is the bottom part. So obviously the user's first and last name to the left is blurred out. We're just keeping that discreet. But that would have all your employees there. Every single user enrolled in the program will be listed on there. So each learner will have a learner grade. And the way the grades work, it's based off criteria of training completion, incomplete trainings, fish sims received, like simulated phishing emails, and whether or not they use the phishing email to actually report that email. And if they actually fell for a fish, all that impacts your grade as an overall. So you'll get this nice little report card with the report. It lists every single user and organization, which this is also nice. So you actually know who's enrolled at all times. So if anyone's missing, or if you like someone removed, you know, this is an up-to-date, active, current list. And
So
you will
Joe,
be getting this. Yep.
you get that monthly, excuse me. If you look at across the top there, that person's got an A+, even, and they received all 15, they reported all 15, and they clicked on 2 of them. So you can even screw up and get an A.
Yeah.
Kind of like college. I'm sorry. My
Yeah.
point, yeah, I mean, where you're doing the work, you're receiving it, you're doing the training.
Mhm.
And yes, even though you got phished, you learned from it, right?
Correct.
And you can also see who's not doing the work and who is still getting hit. Like there's a couple of C's down there, maybe a D. So you can then go to your people and say, hey, look, how come you're not taking the training? We're spending
Exactly.
money on this service to prevent our company from being impacted. And you can then make it even part of your own employee reviews here, because it's an important aspect of keeping your company safe.
I agree. So the way the training is going to work, which is a really nice feature, is you're going to get an email sent to each user's email, and all they have to do is click on a link to actually go into the training. So it's passwordless. It's tokenized to each user. Once you click on that link received, it's going to bring each user to their personal dashboard, which is shown here. This personal dashboard is going to show all the trainings. It's going to show the phish rate. If you click on that, you get even more detail, like the phishing details. It's going to show all the emails that they actually reported, which is that's what you want to see. You want them to use that phish button. You're going to see if they were phished in orange, which you don't want to see that. Obviously, you just want to make sure they're using the phish button.
Yeah.
And then the white just means unopened. It can just be sitting there and just untouched. They might not just have gotten to it. They could have just deleted the email. No action on it. And the report rate, that's a really great report rate. I mean, anything above 50% is great. I mean, you like 100%, but as long as it gets better over time, that's what you want to see. So this is a section you would see with the phishing, and up top where it says coursework.
If there were any courses assigned that were not completed, they would show up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, if they weren't able to finish the training this month within a time period, they can always come back here and do all their trainings. And every time they complete a training, they get a little certificate that they can print out, or HR can keep on file for their records that they did complete the training. And if they did have training, once you go into your dashboard, it would just show right there, training available. And the training would just start just by clicking on it. And like I said, they're short, they're 5 minutes, they're informative.
Right. And they're not always about email phishing. They're about Wi-Fi security, why you need 2FA, how you should be maybe using VPNs in public places. It covers more than just phishing. It's security awareness training, and it's about multiple aspects of keeping that in mind as far as cybersecurity goes for your business. And again, you can use that knowledge in your personal life too. You gonna try to show a video there, Rebecca?
Yeah, I'm gonna do this one though.
All right. So here's just a quick example video.
Can you hear that?
Yes.
Hey, I'm Anthony. Over the next few modules, I'll be your guide to the world of cybersecurity, the good, the bad, and the obsolete. You'll meet some of my coworkers and take a look at just a few of the security issues that you yourself will be dealing with on a daily basis. Now, let's talk about cybersecurity. People think of hackers as movie characters or kids messing around. That is something that affects them. After all, why would a hacker target you? You don't have any nuclear secrets or Swiss bank accounts. But the truth is that there's a lot of reasons for hackers to do what they do, and a lot of money they can make from it. Hackers can be criminals, government employees, or activists. They may target someone specifically, or just release a virus into the wild and watch the fireworks. And yes, they can happen to you. A lot of cybersecurity training boils down to one basic principle: be careful. And even if you never do another second of training, we need you to always keep that principle in your mind. The internet is full of people and programs that aren't what they say they are. And by going through you, they can get to your company and its customers.
So that's just a little preview of our intro video that every new employee will receive, along with a phishing one that we have that shows them how to use the phish button. They're quick. This one was only 1 minute 44 seconds, and I think that the phishing one is quicker than that.
Right. No real excuse to not take this training. We're not asking for, for hours of training, just top of mind type of stuff, so your people are on their toes. And while we have Joe Kepner here, Joe, did we miss anything that you would have liked that we brought up to talk about security awareness training here?
No, you guys really kind of hit the nail on the head on all of the various different topics. Kind of talking about how quick and fast all of our training is, the importance of utilizing the fish notify button and the continuous phishing, throughout the program. So no, great job.
So the idea of this, guys, is it's a continuous thing. So it's not something that you just train and forget about, because unfortunately, all of our cyber threats are constantly hitting us, and they're constantly changing based on what's going on in the world. So the beauty of this program is that it will always be topical. It'll have aspects of the general aspects that are happening within the world that you might find yourself clicking on, hoping that we're going to remind you not to do so. And of course, the big question is, how expensive is security awareness training, right? Well, if you're any of our competitors, you can't afford it. But when it comes to Tab, you can. We charge a whopping $2.50 per user per month. It's a very affordable way to get that last line of defense, your people involved in keeping your data safe, your internet safe, your network safe, your business safe. And for $2.50, we can keep them thinking about security, cybersecurity in general, and protect your company. So do you guys have any questions? Anything in the
There's
chat?
nothing
there,
in the
Rebecca?
chat that, no, there's nothing in the chat that you didn't already discuss. So it was just one question on what the cost was.
Oh, wow, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a question coming in from Brian.
Yeah.
Curious if any repercussions.
I'm not sure what he means by that.
Yeah, we're not sure what you mean
Oh,
by
like
that. Do you know-
meaning, are you meaning, Brian, are you asking if a company has any repercussions if someone who's doing security awareness training continuously fails their security awareness training?
That sounds right. That sounds right. Well, it's up to you, Brian,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I was just curious. The company that I used to work for was pretty strict on people who weren't getting it right, and threatened terminations if people continually failed. So I was just curious what other folks, how heavy-handed other companies might be presently.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I don't know that we've heard of anybody being terminated for being bad at doing security awareness training and clicking. And frankly, Brian, a lot of the principals of the organizations that we support are the worst at this anyways. They'll not take the training and they'll click like crazy. So in a small business environment, it does tend to be a little more lax as far as what we've seen. We do think, though, companies should treat it as an important aspect of an employee's development. But we really haven't seen a very draconian approach to people getting let go or fired due to that. But it is something that you could see if you're just constantly clicking on things and letting the bad stuff in. That's something that we have seen. Other clients who have had folks who had really poor passwords, no matter what we told them to do, or even became encrypted or had issues because they didn't take any of the security awareness stuff that we recommended, finally implemented it after the fact. But the idea here is to be more proactive. And so, it's up to you as far as an organization to really make it part of your corporate culture to pay attention to security awareness training, so that at least nobody can say they didn't know. And these are very tricky guys that are out there. The bad guys are really, they're more tricky than we can think of. And thankfully, we have InfoSec working on ways to keep you guys up to date on what they're trying. Any other questions?
No.
All right.
Well, this is recorded and we will be posting this, but you can see you've got our contact information. So if you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can send an email to sales@tabbing.com, or you can contact us by the old fashioned way, the telephone.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, the Joes and Rebecca for a great presentation. And any questions, reach out. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.